Wave Race! Brings me back to 1996. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Super Old Game Saturday. If it's 7 p.m. on a Saturday night, we're playing classic gaming goodness. We have some classic gaming goodness for you tonight. And one that's good if you're living somewhere there's a lot of hot weather. This is Wave Race 64, Kawasaki Jet Ski. Yeah, it's taking me the name of it. Released in 1996 for the Nintendo 64 as the second game in the Wave Race franchise. This was not the first one. There was one on the Game Boy prior to this. But it was with this game that was, for all intents and purposes, a launch title for the Nintendo 64, yet blew everything wide open. People looked at this, they looked at the N64, the new 64-bit console of Nintendo's, and said, okay, we had Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64 for a month before. Here's the first game that came out on the system after the launch. This was, I think, November or October. Somewhere in there. It's going into the demo. But yeah, when people saw this game, people saw what you're looking at on the screen right here. You're on Kawasaki jet skis, licensed, so some of the later re-releases don't have that element. So it was on the Wii's Virtual Console, unless the Wii U's, you still buy the Wii U release for $10. And copy this is not expensive, it's like $10, $20. But yeah, as soon as they saw that, looked at these graphics, and said, oh my god, look at those waves going around, look how real it looks, and then they pick up the controller and they realize, wow, look how, I can't imagine just how real this feels. Yeah, Nintendo brought their game to this one. It was Nintendo who published and developed it. But, yeah, we're going to give this game the entire playthrough. We're going to go all the way with this one because it definitely deserves it. And as you saw in the first opening we had there's a little bit of a code you can set in to have dolphins going on in the intro, although after it goes to the demo, it goes back to the jet skis. And you can actually do the riding of the dolphin. We're not going to do that because I don't remember how to do it, honestly. But, yeah, here's how this game's going to work. We have a couple modes here. We have Championship, Trials, and Stunt Mode, and 2-player. I'm playing solo, so it's not going to be 2-player. We'll be doing the Championship mode in particular. We'll also take a look at the Stunt Mode later. Oh, no, okay, not now we're not looking at the Stunt Mode. We'll look at that in a sec. Or, actually, probably a couple hours. Anyway, we're going to be playing through the Championship mode. We have 4 difficulties here. We have Normal, Hard, Expert, and Reverse. We're going through all 4. I think in that case, that'll give a good amount of time for this game and a good amount of time to go into why I love this game, why I still love this game almost 25 years after its release, and why this is the pinnacle of the Wave Race games. There's one other one after this. There was Wave Race Blue Storm on the GameCube, but even that one's like, it's good, but this was great. Absolutely great. So we're going to be playing through all these difficulties in order and showing off all 4 of the characters. Start normal, and we're going to do some warm-up, and I'm going to need warm-up to a certain extent because, alright, you have 4 players you can play as. Ryota Hayami, who has mostly average stats. He's the second fastest character, though, so that's good for some of the later difficulties. Ayumi Stewart, who is the best with acceleration and has some average stats generally, but she's the slowest and lightest. Miles Jeter, who I'm playing with first. This is going to be an interesting case because he has the best handling, but he also handles very sensitively, which makes him very hard to play with. And also, he has poor grip, so if you crash into much stuff, you're going to be falling down. And then Dave Mariner, who we'll show off later. He's the fastest and the heaviest, but he's also the worst with acceleration and turning and stunts, and we'll get into the stunts later. Alright, but what we're going to do is we're going to select Miles Jeter to start, and you have options of your watercraft setting. You can set normal, where you have your handling, your engine, your grip in the middle, or you can customize it. With handling, what this generally means is that when you have it on heavy, you turn, or you push the control stick more on this, that it'll take more of a push for him to turn, and for Miles Jeter, I want that. Engine is basically putting focus onto acceleration on the dash side and top end into the speed side, and the grip being loose or tight. I believe you go faster when your grip is looser, but I'm playing on normal. I think I should be able to handle this game. As far as this, I mean, I've been playing this 25 years, but... So we're going to start that way, but before we do, we're going to be doing some warm-up time in...
Welcome to Dolphin Park.
Dolphin Park. We only see this in the warm-up mode and in the stunt mode. We'll show that later. In fact, I'll probably pull out this for the stunt mode, but it's warm-up time. Follow that dolphin. So basically what you do is just drive around in your jet ski and follow the dolphin. You do get a little bit of a bonus for following the dolphin for multiple laps. I think you actually see like baby dolphins going on. We're not going to necessarily do that. But what I'm going to do is at least going to show off every one of the messages down there from the training element and also reflect the idea that, yeah, Nintendo is coming to the plate with this pretty strongly in terms of everything. The graphics, the music, which was done by Kazumi Totaka of Mario Paint and Luigi's Mansion Yoshi's Story fame. And some great music. We'll get into that as we go. But also the voice acting, because there's a lot of it, although mostly from, like, the announcing. You have the woman announcer here for the training, and then you have, well, that kind of crazy announcer style that you might have heard in games like Ridge Racer and other things at the time. And, yeah, that's the one knock people put at this game, that he's annoying, but, you know, fair enough. I mean, I still remember every single line that came out of his mouth. And, yeah, we're probably going to go into that for sure. And I'm be glad to hear what your memories of Wavery 64 might be, because, unlike, look, if you've never watched the show before, we'll play retro games usually, but sometimes newer games, or if the chat wants to see something. But a lot of times I'll pull up weird stuff, things that most people haven't played, just because I want to show it off and show people that it exists, because I don't feel it gets a lot of representation necessarily. And I've had chat represent or ask me about that with games they want to see. And next week's going to be a game like that, where we do Top Gear for the Super Nintendo on the request of Electverse. But, yeah, this is one that's not really the case. I'm pretty sure most people who have a Nintendo 64 have played this game at one point or another, if they don't own it. And if they do own it, it's like, yeah. Or if they don't own it, go get it. It's great. Even if you don't like these kinds of games, it's so much fun. It looks great, it sounds great, it plays great. Yeah, and as you're seeing there, I'm doing flips off of the ramps, and that's the other thing of this game. And when you go through the warm-up time, they will tell you what these stunts are. In fact, I'm going to not follow the Dolphin anymore. I'm going to show you how some of these work. She said, do a barrel roll, move left or right when you're going off a ramp. But I will turn around to do that. You can do this with either left or right, like that. And you come down and you hear that great splash. Okay, I didn't do it right, going to the right.
Quickly move the controls to the right, then left.
Well, there you go. And also the flip, which is for up and down. Or you can do the, okay, missed that one. That was the, they call it the helicopter. It's not actually technically represented in the manual for this game, but I know Nintendo Power emphasized it. Basically, you go off on a curve, and then you do a flip diagonally. So I'm going to the right like this, going diagonally, doing that, and you do a helicopter. And it's worth more points when you go into stunt mode. You can also do a downwards push on the analog stick coming through, and you go in the water. And this part's in the game, we're going to have that later. And basically what we're going to do is just go through, see the stunts and all that, and there you go. Also, if you rotate the analog stick when you're not accelerating either to the right or the left, you have this, like you can hold down, like going on the front of the jet ski like that, let go. Or you can go the other way. Okay, up and down is the handstand. And there you go, that's the spin. Actually, if you press down on the analog stick, if you do that, yeah, he does that flip like that. I used to be able to do that one-handed. I'm going to tell you that right now. Either my skills are not with me anymore after 25 years, or more accurately, perhaps, my Nintendo 64's analog sticks are kind of faded. Which might be another reason, if you haven't played this game, you might want to buy it on the Wii U's Virtual Console, where it's $10 and the analog stick is a lot better. I went into that when we did Star Fox 64 for the purpose of how Yoshi's Story is going to work whenever we decide to play that. Or whenever, chat, you want to see it. So, yeah, let me know as far as that. And we're going to be waiting through just a few more of the messages of the announcer woman as we keep following the Dolphin. And it does show, as I mentioned, what this game was doing as far as Nintendo 64 in 1996. Nintendo clearly wanted to show that 64-bit gaming was the real deal. And on the back of Atari with the Jaguar saying, this is a 64-bit system, people looking at that saying, yeah, we're not buying that. Nintendo, I think, had a lot to prove in some ways, saying, here's what 64-bit really means. Here's what, you know, they're going up against the Sega Saturn and the PlayStation of Sony's at the time. What do they have to offer? On one hand, it's going to be the graphics to focus on that. It's like, hey, look how more powerful our system is, even though we're running cartridges instead of CDs. But then they came to the plate with this one, and it's... I'll tell you about this game, and I think we're basically done. I think she's going to be saying that the warm-up time's there. I think we're going to be done with warm-up time and go into normal elements, or fall off. Alright, but if you keep hitting A as you are in the water, you'll recover quicker. Alright, we are basically done, but I'll tell you the thing about this game. We're going to start the race now. I press start and go in. I'm going to go through normal. We have 6 rounds to go through, starting off on Sunny Beach. I'm going to hear that great announcer. And I'll get into my point as far as what I was thinking about, you know, this game's graphics and gameplay melding so perfectly.
Get ready for the first race!
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Hopefully, chat, you are too. And if you hit the A button as he says, go, well, you'll power up to a certain degree. You want to have all 5 of them, or if not, go to the buoys on the left side, so then you get maximum power!
Everyone behind!
Yeah, I love this game if you could not tell, and yeah, hopefully you're liking what you're seeing so far. So what you do is pretty much just race around, move left and right against the buoys. The L's are the ones you pass on the left, the R's are the one you pass on the right. Just go through 3 laps, sort of simple as that, but because of how this game operates with its visuals and its controls, yeah, you're gonna have your hands full as we go along further. And that's what I was gonna say. The thing about this game, and why I still love this game so much, is that this is one of those rare games, and chat, tell me this if you have another idea of a game that's like this, that you would think you could consider this way. This is one of those games I think is a perfect marriage of gameplay and graphics, because looking at the wave physics and graphics here, which might not necessarily look like much 25 years out from when this released, but back then, this was a huge deal. But then you come into, you realize, wait a minute, I'm going off these waves, and I can control where I'm going with my weight distribution as I go, and having to react to the fact that, oh wait, here comes this big wave here, and trying to ride it and control myself. And get first place. We're on normal, so that's going to be normal to see here, but not going to be the case when we go to hard and reverse especially. Or expert reverse, I should say. But I was saying, this is a case where, yeah, this game looks great, but it also plays as great as it looks. And you don't always get that, and I think that's the reason why this one in particular has endured even more than the one on the Game Boy, and even more, I would say, than the one on the GameCube. Which has weird aspects with its controls, but still played fine. And that's a good enough game I can definitely show off at some point, because I do have the GameCube to show it, and the game itself. But there we go, we're about 9 or so seconds ahead of Miss Ayumi Stewart. But let's keep going.
You finished first and got 7 points. Great race.
Yeah, and when you win a race, or depending on where you place, you get a number of points, and you have to get enough to get to the next, element. Good looking game. Oh, hello, Dolly Finn. How are you doing? Hope you are having a good night. It's good to see you, and welcome to the celebration of Wave Race 64. I am definitely very happy to be playing this game, and I'm definitely going to be sharing my memories of this. I'd like to hear yours as well. And with that, you move on to the next round on normal. It's not going to be too bad with how many points you need to advance. Thank you. Well, thank you, and thank you for showing up and for your contributions. As I've mentioned a lot of times, we get into the guts of gaming on this show, and I might be talking a lot about what I think of the game or my memories, but I want to hear yours. In a lot of ways, it's your show as much as it's mine. So here we are in round 2. This is Sunset Bay, another one. When I saw this, when it came out, I was saying, wow, this definitely was a moment for me. And it's the kind of thing I wish Nintendo would come back to this franchise, because it's been 20 years since they made the last one. Okay, I didn't do too great on the power, but that's fine. By the way, when you go past the buoys, it will power your craft up a bit, by 1 point until you get to 5. And by the way, if you miss a buoy, that miss icon over on the lower left-hand corner of the screen, an X will drop on that. If you make 5 misses, you instantly retire out of the race, and if you don't have enough points, it's game over. I don't think we're going to be seeing that until Expert or Reverse, and hopefully we won't see it too much. But yeah, here we go in the Sunset Bay with this great look of the water. Almost looks like... Oh yeah, but you gotta be careful! Indeed. With that announcer. Yeah, and when your head goes down like that in the number over there, that means, yeah, you've crashed. If it goes down completely, you've crashed. If it goes down a little bit, you're stunned. And you can also look at that as far as the other computer racers as well. And there's a 2-player mode that's also in this. Yeah, just basically keep going until you win. Just keep going with the buoys, but the thing is that the colors are excellent. Yes, they are. I remember when I looked at this, it almost looks like, I don't know, like orangeade or something, but that's the other thing about this game. You think, well, wait a minute, how varied can they make a game like this look when it comes to the graphics? Because, like, alright, we're riding on jet skis, licensed by Kawasaki, and what happened with that is that you're thinking, well, we're on the water. You get the colors on the jet skis, perhaps that'll be all you need, but, no, they really varied it up with the levels. We're going to see that, because we're playing through every single stage in this game. All 6 rounds of the normal, the 7 for hard, and then the 8 for verse and expert. So, and they vary it up a lot, so you get the sense that you're going to a lot of different places, and you're getting a great sense of the atmosphere of it. And this game just atmosphere so well. The colors are excellent. Also from Montag UK, good evening, good to see you, and thank you for joining the Wave Race 64 celebration. Yeah, so far doing okay on the normal element, and playing with Miles Jeter, who turns on a dime, which is not good for me, because sometimes he turns too quickly for me for this game. But you can kind of play around with that with grip, and we'll see that as we play with the other characters. We'll show off every character, everything we can, and this is thankfully a racing game that is structured well enough that we can do that. now we're on Drake Lake. And speaking of the colors, this is another one. Okay, I can't get the maximum power completely on the start. You can do it, I just haven't been able to. Yeah, it's a little foggy here. It's more like a forest. Or as they called this Milky Lake in the Japanese release. But I think it kind of makes more sense with Drake Lake, with the idea you're driving around or riding around, and you're seeing, like, the ducks come out, and the fog in the distance, sort of, or, like, the mist. And it's interesting that because on the Nintendo 64, a lot of elements as far as how they handled draw distance on graphics, we're doing things with fog, but here it's not just a tech reason. Is this the beginner level? Yes, it is. The championship mode gives you difficulty options of normal, hard, expert, and reverse. We're doing all four, and in a row. And what'll happen is that the buoy positions we're seeing there will become tighter on the higher difficulties, and we'll see that. But on lap 2, or after about 50 seconds of the music coming, all that fog we saw, well, it's lifting, and now the clouds have moved out of the way, and it's nice and bright. And that's a wonderful effect, and as I mentioned, because when this came out on the N64, Nintendo wanted to showcase 64 bits for this system meant something. They said, change the system, they meant it, and they wanted to show off the graphics. Oh no! Yeah, but I gotta get myself up before I get past, but on normal, I think I should be okay. Yeah, especially when I'm 18 seconds ahead of my competition. Did you see that when they passed the lap point, and the announcer will eventually say that, so like, you're about 18 seconds ahead! And sometimes it can get up that high, but alright, let's show off on the way through. There you go. Yeah, nice little handstand. And that's the other thing with this, you get the, the triumphant thing, and also the stunts that go along. Alright, so 6 seconds ahead of Ayumi Stewart.
You finished first and got 7 points.
Yeah, this is gonna be easy now, but don't expect that as we go through the later difficulties, because parts of this game get really hard.
Marine Fortress.
Actually, the stages as well. This is Marine Fortress. And this has elements that we're gonna see on the hard path, but for now, we're just gonna be going around. I guess this, well, I call it the Marine Fortress. I guess it's, yeah, feasibly. Alright, okay, I got maximum power here. Also gonna try something, see if I can do this. Yeah, angle myself backwards and go over that ramp. Yeah, if you don't angle that correctly, you're crashing into it and you lose time. Are you playing against the computer? You can play against someone else. For the purpose of the championship mode, it's single player. For multiplayer, there is a 2-player option for this. There is, unfortunately, not a 4-player option in this game. And from what I understand, I think it was technical reasons. They couldn't get that figured out in time for this game to be released. And in fact, there was only one game on the Nintendo 64 in launch year, which was 1996, where it had a 4-player option, which was Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey. I mean, the multiplayer is a lot of fun, for sure, and they give you some handicap options so you can kind of, you know, not completely decimate people if they're like, hey, someone's never played it, and then the other person's been playing it for 25 years, like myself, for example. But yeah, it's still a lot of fun, and it was the GameCube version that was on, it was Blade Race Blue Storm that came out in 2001. That does have a 4-player option, and, well, actually, thank you for bringing that up, Monty UK, because I just realized there are 3 games in this franchise. There's the one on the GameCube, there's this one, and then there's Wave Race on the Game Boy, which was the first one. It came in 1993 or 2, I believe. That actually does have a 4-player option. You need to have... Yeah, I'm pretty far, for sure, but, yeah, on that Game Boy version, there is a 4-player option. You need... But, okay, I missed. But what happens when you miss is all your power goes away, and you get that XP. If you get 5 of them, you're gone. Or if you go outside the limits of the level, if you don't come out in time. You know what, I'm far enough ahead I can show this off feasibly.
Don't go that way.
Yeah, if you course out, it's gonna be a problem if you don't get back in within 5 seconds, but there we go. But yeah, that Game Boy version has a 4-player option, but you need the multiplayer connector for that, you need 4 link cables, and you need 4 Game Boys and 4 copies of the game. So yeah, you're not gonna run into a lot of cases of that. Well, although you'll probably run into more cases of that than people wanting to play Faceball 2000, which is a Game Boy game that has a 16-player option. And from what I understand, it's very strange to get that going and very choppy, but something that, yeah, there's a 16-player Game Boy game, but you need multiple connectors and 16 copies of the game and 16 Game Boys for it. But, yeah.
On to the next round.
Alright, so that's round 4, and we've gone through the Marine Fortress. We'll come back to these levels later. But next we have Port Blue, which always looked like, I don't know, like a harbor or something, almost like Baltimore or something like that. In the Japanese version, they call this Port Pirates for some reason.
3, 2, 1.
As we'll see as we get to the other difficulties, along with the buoy placements, they change elements of the stages, or the levels, as far as where you go. And you also hear this great synth-style music. As I mentioned, the music in this game was by Kazumi Totaka, who did the music for Mario Paint and Yoshi's Story and Luigi's Mansion, amongst others. And the thing about this music is very interesting. It has a great variety to itself as far as the kinds of music that's in there, but also the atmosphere of what it creates. Because in a lot of ways, it's kind of weirdly upbeat and melancholy, but also something that seems very weirdly inspirational, while also kind of being, you know, able to rock out with some of the synth stuff here, or even kind of sounding like, actually, one level kind of sounds a bit like elements of the music from The Price is Right, I would say. I always associate it that way, and we'll see that when we get to the expert path. In the meantime, just going around the harbor. This is pretty simple as far as going that way, but when we come back here on hard, the level's going to change a lot, particularly with the buoy placements and some other paths. And that's the other thing that I like about this game, because you have extra difficulties. It's at the wall. But with that, it's not just, oh, the AI is harder, because of course that's the idea, and it is, but then they change aspects of the stages and the buoy placements on top of that. Like, for example, right to the right over there, see that wall there? There's a tunnel that's open on hard. It's not open on normal. But on hard, it's open that way, so you can go that way or this way, and on expert and reverse, you actually have to go that tunnel, which is faster, but it's way harder to maneuver through. So I always dread doing that. Uh-oh, I'm going the wrong way. Alright, so far, no problem. You know, let's also show off the stunts on the ramp. There you go. And get the crowd going wild. I do love that touch, or even just the sound of the with the water. It's amazing stuff. Alright, so, yeah, this looks more difficult than the last run. The last level, yeah, it is. I mean, in some ways, with this one, although actually, I would say in some ways, Marine Fortress is some ways harder because of the fact there's like boxes around you crash into, but I get the idea of that, especially here, and on expert, we're gonna see that. That's where this gets really difficult. But yeah, so far we're doing okay. I don't like the idea that I'm tooting my own horn and saying, look how great I am, but I'm just saying, well, I mean, I've won everything so far, but like, that's not gonna last. We're on the easiest level, but here's the final round of normal. We're gonna get through this pretty quickly. Here's Southern Islands, which is in the GameCube version as well. I think it's one of only 2 tracks that's in that version. And you get this great triumphant music, but they changed for the Japanese release, or with the Japanese re-release. Actually, there's a version that came out in Japan that utilized... Yeah, going over that boat is always hard, especially because the way the waves are going down like that. But I was saying, in the Japanese version, there was a specific release for that called the Shindo Pack version, which utilized the Rumble Pack. None of the versions that came out for the US had support for it, but for Japan, they re-released that one and had it that way. What happens if you crash into someone else? Depending on the grip of your character, you might just hit them and go, ooh, or you might fall off your jet ski altogether. And on this course, the water recedes on each lap, so you have to be careful of that, because in that case I was going on that boat, and I have to go over the ramp. In this case, I jumped under the water here, but now I can just ride underneath it. It depends on the character, because Miles Jr., who I'm playing as, has very weak grip, so if you crash into another opponent, you may go flying and fly off. The AI usually will not, from my experience, although when you're playing in 2-player, sometimes if you crash them hard enough from a standstill, they'll, fall off. But it's variable. I think the GameCube version went into that a little bit, and either I just clipped through that, or I went through that. I remember the Rumble Pack. Yeah, and I remember, as I mentioned, the US not getting a version of this game. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, and that's the Captain Obvious line of, you gotta be careful, or, looks like trouble. But, yeah, we never got that Rumble Pack version of this game here. We got the Rumble Pack version of Super Mario 64 last year with the Super Mario 3D All-Stars release, but not this one. But there are some differences between the other regions, like actually, we're seeing those Nintendo 64 advertisements there. There were advertisements for Fanta, the orange soda, but I guess they didn't have the license for the US, or they didn't want to pay for it, on top of the Kawasaki license, so it's not in this one. And the Kawasaki license was taken out of the Wii Virtual Console version, but I think it was put back in the Wii U's release. I think they paid the money for it in that case, but there we go. We finished all 6 of the races with first places each time. Not gonna last, but with that you get your awards ceremony. At least you get an abbreviated version on normal and hard. So Miles Jeter at number 1, Ayumi Stewart at number 2, and Ryota Hayami as number 3. And Dave Mariner is nowhere to be seen. As you get a 4th place, you'll be on the side and you'll get a sad piece of music. But, because we got 1st place, you get this really great ending piece of music as they recap what happened. Kawasaki made motorcycles first, I think. Yeah, I believe so. And then they went into the jet ski element, or the wave runner element, whatever people call it. They seem to call it one of the two feasibly. But yeah, and they kind of made a name for it, and I think in a lot of ways, talk about, I guess, a shrewd marketing thing of Nintendo, getting a lot of people to look at this and say, like, wow, look how cool it is for this, and the idea, like, everybody would feasibly want one of these things, or want to experience that idea, but I never did. Either got one or experienced one. I should do that at some point, but because I got 1st place, you get to challenge the next class, and if you get, like, time records or anything, you'll be able to enter your name there. I have probably the high time records on everything on this cartridge, so we're not going to see that, but with normal done, we're going in hard. And mainly we're going to be having a little bit of a repetitive element because we've been playing on some of the same courses, and they added one, and they add a track each for each of the difficulties. But to vary things up a little bit, we're going to be playing as the different characters go along. Next, I'm going to be pulling out Ayumi Stewart, who is best with accelerating, but is kind of the lightest character, so crash at other elements or other racers, you're going to be in trouble, potentially. And also, when you go on the higher difficulties, the requirements for the points you need to advance in the next round increase. So, for Sunny Beach before, I could get 4th place and be fine. I need to get at least 3rd, or wait, reverse. Oh my god, that must be hard. It does, and we'll see the full brunt of that for sure. But in the meantime, we're going through hard, which shouldn't be too bad, just by saying it's technically the middle difficulty, but with hard, you get the buoys there going left and right, but they're tighter, they're placed more tightly, and also you have mines on this course. You crash into those, you're going to be falling off. Ooh. And I guess this is where part of the strategy comes in later, because then the idea is that, hey, if I'm on a harder course, if the buoys are tighter, should I maybe have another character who's going to be making the turns better, or just focus on speed? Also, the AI is going to be harder. Yeah, the reverse level is an interesting case, and it really changes the dynamic of a lot of these levels, especially later on, and there is Dave Mirror. Uh-oh. Okay, he bounced the buoy out of the way. Unfortunately, he's the fastest character, so I don't know if we're going to be able to catch up with him. We'll see. But as long as I get 2nd or 3rd, I should be good, which I think we should be fine with. Besides, I made the concerted... Oh, shit! No! Oh, no, 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 no. Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, uh-oh. I need to get moving. Although, then if I don't make it, I can at least showcase off on the 1st level what happens when you don't make it. Yeah, I'm gonna lose, unfortunately, I think. Oh, great. Alright. Recording curse, here we go, but... Alright, so what happens then, at least I get to show this off. If you don't get the, element of it that they expect, they'll... Sorry, you didn't accumulate enough points to move on to the next round. Better luck next time. Yeah, so unfortunately I did not. And also, if you do a retire, when you press start, you can quit, but...
Try again.
Yeah, I think I need to try again, and I also think... You know what? I said I was gonna show off each character. I'll show Ayumi Stewart in the stunt mode when we show that off. I'm pulling out, Ryota Hayami, who is the 2nd fastest character of the game. This might give me better, chance. You get to retry. Yes, although, here's the thing. I'm lucky this happened on Sunny Beach only, because if I, say, got to the last level, and I need to get into a case where I had to, get a specific rank, and I don't get it, it's a game over. I have to start the entire circuit all over again. So, you do get to retry, but you have to go all the way back to the beginning if you fail on anything other than the 1st race. So, this game is not screwing around in some capacities. So, yeah, you got to bring your A game. I remember playing this game a lot, growing up, where I get near the end, on Expert and Reverse especially. Dolly Finn mentioned the reverse element of this, getting really hard. Imagine the frustration when you get to the 2nd to last or last race. You miss the ranking amount, and you have to start the whole thing over again. Which is... not the most ridiculous thing as far as difficulty, but still, it's gonna it incentivizes you to get good, specifically. Or, I'll say this, I remember I was talking with my coworkers about elements of games that are difficult, because I remember what they were playing, but I mentioned, like, the idea of really difficult games of, you know, not having things like auto-saving or having a continue element. And I mentioned one game, and this is a game that might be too prohibitively expensive for me to show off, and it's also something that, given the setup I have for everything, oh god, I don't know how to be able to work this. It's called Steel Battalion. It's for the original Xbox. It was by Capcom. And what it is, it's a mech game that when it came out cost $200 because it comes with a 40-button controller that has, like, a bunch of things to it, including, like, 2 joysticks on it, an eject button underneath a, I don't know, like, a plastic lid, and pedals. And the idea is that it's, like, this hardcore mech warrior fighting game. And what happens is, if you're getting close to death, you have to flip that, plastic up and hit the eject button. If you don't, your save file is wiped out completely, and you have to start the entire game over again. So, yeah, they're not screwing around for sure on that one. I think I mentioned, like, Dark Souls being another game that's really difficult. But, yeah, Steel Battalion is a game where that's one you need a lot of space to have it, and it's also something that it costs a fortune now because of the fact it has that controller that was so massive and having a lot of elements to it. I mean, I'm seeing that thing for, like, $600, which makes sense given everything that it is and that it was such a niche product. But, yeah, it definitely is, you want the hardcore gaming experience, it's a game like that. That's, what you go, and also the hardcore difficulty of it. Which, I mean, honestly, I guess they haven't really done much as far as, like, the idea of, like, jet skis with that kind of replication in the home. I mean, there are arcade games that did that, and I mentioned a few weeks ago when I mentioned we were going to play this, I mentioned Aqua Jet by Namco, which was an arcade game where you stand up on a jet ski and ride it through, like, checkpoints and things, and Sega had one as well called Wave Runner, where you sat down on a jet ski. But they're, like, massive, you know, deluxe cabinets you go into an arcade for. But at the home, not much of a replication of stuff like that to that degree. I mean, I've seen stuff like light guns and steering wheels, but nothing like something that massive, except for Steel Battalion, really. And you gotta give Capcom credit for saying, yeah, we're gonna come to market with this thing, knowing that it's gonna be prohibitively expensive for a lot of people, but then people looking back on it realizing, hey, I have something interesting, and hey, I want to hold on to that if I have it. Or take out a mortgage to buy it if you really want it nowadays. There we go, that's Sunset Bay. And see, that's the thing, I guess because we're playing some of these courses multiple times, that goes to the aspect of the discussion of the chat and what I like about the show. So,
Welcome to.
yeah, feel free to let me know anything you want to talk about on this game, anything about what you're seeing, or anything game-wise in particular, and we can get into that. And honestly, you never know what you're going to get on this show in terms of what we're going to talk about, or what the chat says they want to see or go into. Sometimes they'll say, like, hey, I remember the idea of, I like the water racing game, so I like another game, like, say, a Hydro Thunder or something, which at some point, I do want to play Hydro Thunder. That'll probably be when I do the Mid-American Treasures 3 for GameCube. That'll be when I do that. But feasibly, you can branch off anyway. So just let me know what you got when we go through Drake Lake again and see that, yeah, the buoy turns there are way tighter. And also, yeah, especially when you're going through the logs here. Yeah, if you hit into those, you stop. Or if you hit wrong, you're going to be flying off. Yeah, that's where the difficulty comes. And I do like that this game adjusts itself as you go along. So it gives you more of an incentive to, you know, build on your skills. While also avoiding the brush there. I'm going to the side of it because if you go through it, you slow down. The same rule on normal applies as far as the fog. It lifts up for 50 seconds, and there we go. Yeah, basically it's a slalom. I'll tell you that's pretty much what this is. It's almost like a skiing game to a certain extent. Except for the fact that, yeah, you can't do enough or you can't do too many misses or you're going to be done. Because I guess... Okay, I'm doing better on this than I thought. Alright. Yeah, you can kind of clip yourself, and if you have your head bound down a little, like about half in the picture over there, you can recover yourself decently. It's just worse when you're completely off, your head's off of that icon, and then you have to, you know, recover while hearing the announcer say the obvious of, yeah, how are you still alive? Well, of course, you're gonna get excited when you win, which I do love that. And showcases you the, I guess the handstand. Does that mean that if you're not good at it, it doesn't... Okay, does that mean that if you're not good at the game, doesn't make it that hard? I guess maybe you're thinking about the idea of if it's going to adjust, like, a dynamic difficulty, perhaps? I mean, I guess if you're not good, the kind of thing is that basically it's about practice, and this game has a time trial mode. So as soon as you play... Actually, I think you either play the course or you have to win it on some difficulty. You then get to play through it, and you can feasibly practice the buoy placements. So in that way, that's kind of where it gives you the incentive to practice, just that then when you come to the championship mode, you have to be set. Also, here, I don't want to do what I did for the normal play of jumping over the wall like that. Yeah, this doesn't have, like, a dynamic difficulty, although that would be an interesting case, feasibly, or I know some other games that do that. I know a different kind of game, Left 4 Dead, from Valve and Turtle Rock Studios, which is a first-person shooting game. That has something that they do adjust the difficulty, or they adjust certain aspects of the AI based on how your health and conditions are. And I guess with this game, a lot of it is more, as I mentioned, the buoy placements, the levels, and oh no! Yeah, unfortunately, I did that flip there, tried to, like, pull back, but if you don't do it right, you're gonna be landing in the water. And also the waves, because the waves can, you know, launch you up. That can be good to get out of the way of certain things like these boxes, but sometimes not for other reasons. Although, here's another case. On the second lap of Marine Fortress, on hard, this gate opens up, so we can go through here. It is a shortcut, and the computer will take it. So you gotta take it as well. And that is one thing I will say as far as the AI in this game. The AI, when there's a shortcut for a level like that, they will take the shortcut. So you have to be doing it as well. So it does force you to get your skills up. But again, you also have the normal difficulties for most of the stages, and then you can practice that way, or in the time trial, before going on the hard difficulty. Yeah, and I'm not going to win, but that's okay, because that little line next to my rank means that you do not need... Okay, I got lucky with... Oh, wow, I got really lucky. Both Yumi Stewart and Dave Mariner wiped out, so I won. Alright, so much for me saying I wasn't going to win, but sometimes that's what happens. I was going to ask about how do the waves complicate your steering. That goes to what I said at the beginning, which is that this game is a perfect marriage of gameplay and graphics, because looking at the waves here, and they're weaving and bobbing realistically, and how they complicate your steering really is that sometimes it's a little harder to turn into them. To be fair, this game is not as difficult in terms of that as Wave Race Blue Storm is, because they did emphasize it a little bit, and Splashdown, which is by Rainbow Studios. It's on PlayStation 2 and Xbox, which I could show off, but I have to turn off the music because there's licensed music and I can't get away with playing it here. But with this game, you kind of go through the water a little bit when the waves come. They seem realistic? Yeah, they are, and that was one of the big pushes of what Nintendo was doing with this. They said, we want to showcase the graphics of what the N64 is capable of, and on hard, by the way, you get to go through this tunnel, and the markings thing kind of goes all over the place. But what they really wanted to do with this, they said, we want to get the waves feeling perfect as far as how this. So they really did a lot of homework as far as how they're studying the wave physics, how they go, and also the fact that when you're going off waves heavily, you can pull back and forth to launch yourself more, or cut into them a little bit more to feasibly take a shortcut, or okay, I'm not taking the shortcut this time. So they did focus on the wave physics, and when this game came out, that was the other aspect. People looking at this and saying, this game looks amazing visually for the time, but it plays great and it just feels great. There's something about this game. And the only other game of this that really I get that feel of actually is Splashdown. Oh no! I know! Uh-oh. Alright, so... Alright, let's see if I can redeem myself. But they really were focusing on the physics and saying, like, this just feels great. And as I mentioned with this game, this is probably one of the perfect marriages of gameplay and graphics, because it looks great, but it also plays great. It's one of those cases where you think, like, well, you can have all the technology in the world make the game great or not, but then also, when they put in aspects of the physics like this and say, we really want to get this feel down pat, so that you feel like you're riding on the waves. And this game really did that. Alright, well, I got second, which isn't too bad. And the other game that also sort of did this, although actually in a little more of a realistic direction, and a little harder for sure, is 1080 Snowboarding, which came out for the N64 about 2 years after this, which is by the same people as this. In both cases, they were focusing on the physics along with the graphics, and how they structured the game, so that made it really interesting with how that worked. And for the time, there was nothing else that was doing this game as far as its water physics. I mean, there are other games on other systems,
Twilight City.
like Jet Moto on PlayStation, and like Turboprop Racing, but yeah, they couldn't touch this. And we're in a new level now. This is Twilight City, called Castle City in the Japanese release. You get this on hard and above only, so that's why we didn't see it on normal, but this is our next level. And I always love this level for how it looks. They call it Castle City, I guess that is the castle, and you can do the jump over here to land here, and keep going. I just love the night atmosphere. This, Dolly Finn was mentioning the color of this. It really makes every level kind of stand out and feel like its own thing, and put you in this great mood, especially with the music. And it's nice stuff. Me too, indeed, yeah. But going over the jumps, and just, that's the other thing. I think with this game, it really empowers gamers in a way of, you know, you can feasibly do all these things very easily. The way the controls work are very smooth. Even, like, go over the side of the sand like that to kind of take a shortcut. But you feel you can do all these feasibly complex things really without any struggle, or without much of a struggle. You have to get used to how it works, for sure. But when you really understand it, it becomes this great point of being able to say to people, like, look what I can do, look how great you are. You can basically make this game fun to look at. As much fun to look at as to play, just because, like, hey, wait, I can do this, I can make this jump, I can go around the curves this way, and it just looks effortless. When you play it, you realize, oh, it feels effortless, especially when you get the motions of it down. I do love Twilight City as far as, like, the night thing. I think I'm just a sucker for that kind of aesthetic in gaming, just in general, but it just feels nice. Even, like, the shadows, like, right there, I'm going over the jump there, but I'm passing by the buoy, the light is reflecting off of me. Actually, I never really stopped to take notice of that, but it's all these little things. You look like, alright, this looks great on some aspects for the time, and I mean, it doesn't look like the greatest game anymore, but it still has a lot of details. I'm looking at this and saying, yeah, they put a lot of effort into this, and it's impressive. Also, by the way, you can go the other way. You can go around instead of making that jump. I just didn't, but for the purpose of this, we're set.
You finished first and got 7
Alright,
points.
so...
Move on.
Alright, except for Port Blue, we got first on everything. It even looks like something I could do. Well, I mean, I guess here's the thing. Okay, Southern Island's the last course for this, like, because it's the last course for everything. Are you thinking feasibly that you think a game like this might be too difficult? Feasibly? I mean, I guess that's the thing about it. It's one of those things that, I mean, because we sometimes talk about difficulty in games here. Actually, Monty Gouquet's come in and brought that up a lot of times. I appreciate that discussion. It kind of gets into that. And it is an interesting case when you think about why is a game difficult and why is a game of a certain type difficult. Especially with something like this. Oh, but yeah, you have the massive waves here, which, let me tell you, that is a rush when you're just jumping over that and realizing, wow, I'm making that jump, and you're like, it almost kind of makes you feel like, you know, sometimes they say you have your stomach in the bottom of your chest, perhaps, of like, oh, wow, you kind of feel that sense of the height you're getting. This kind of adrenaline feel. This game does that. Also, you get some nice elements of the wildlife, because if you get enough points when you come here, there is a killer whale and baby whales. So yeah, I guess around the time we had the Free Willy franchise, the Free Willy Trilogy as it was, as far as films are concerned. So I guess Nintendo wanted to get in an idea that they won't do anything, they won't hurt you if you get close. I don't think you can even feasibly get close enough to them to have that happen. I think you actually cook through them if you make that happen. I think people played around with this to figure that out, because people love this game. In fact, actually, I remember there were definitely people who loved this game and went to MagFest, which was oh no! Oh no! Oh, okay, good. I hit the buoy just right to not fall off. Sometimes that can happen. But I was saying, at MagFest, which is a video gaming convention that's usually held in the National Harbor in Maryland, they do like tournaments and things for games. They did one for this game. I was in that tournament and I got second place. Or as I said to a friend, he said, "How'd you do?" I quoted this game directly by saying, "You finished second and got 4 points. Nice going." So, yeah, that was definitely a great time to be having that, and to see people want to play the game. Alright, so we won, and there we go. So that's the end of the hard path. Yeah, we're getting through this pretty quickly, considering, but that's the weird case as far as a racing game. This is a hard one for me sometimes to figure out, how do I want to show this off, and how can I show this off in a way that's making it so that it's not being that repetitive to some degree, and getting the nice applause. And I guess you're getting the nice applause by the crowd and also by, yeah, all of the other people on the podium, which again, Dave Mariner's not on the podium. But I think we need to change that with the next race, or the next cup. Actually, I guess, as I mentioned, with a racing game, this one in particular, because it has sort of a structure with the championship mode, I figured that's the best way to handle this, compared to some other ones. In fact, that's going to be a challenge when I do Top Gear for Super Nintendo next week, because I don't have a lot of familiarity with that. And I know they set that up into, like, I think they set it up with the Cups, too. But that's going to be an interesting case on how I want to handle that. Alec first recommended me that game, and I said, oh, I never played this game. You want to see this because you don't get the sense it's not... You get the sense it might not be remembered. Well, okay. If that's the case, asking you shall receive. Which, speaking of which, chat, if there's anything you want to see me play that I haven't played yet, and there's stuff on the YouTube site that there's a link to somewhere in the Twitch area, let me know. We'll play it. The only thing for that is that if I have to dance around licensed content reasons, that's something I'll have to dance around. I can figure some things, but we'll make stuff work for sure. And anything you want to see, no matter how obscure it is, if I have it, we can go through it. If I don't have it, I'll try and track it down, see what we can do. And also figure out tech reasons as far as some of this stuff. But yeah, okay, so here we are with this again, and with normal and hard taken care of, going into experts. And bringing out the big guns in this one, bringing out Mr. Dave Mariner, who is the heaviest character and accelerates the slowest, and handles the worst, but he goes really, really fast, and he also can crash into the other racers without much of a problem. But, yeah, this is where it's going to be put to the test for sure. We're back at Sunny Beach again, which, we'll see the elements of this now, what Expert adds to, which usually is the wave stuff and the buoy placements, which, yeah, so it's good I got that maximum power right off the line. Alright, so see what's going on with that. Yeah, it's a bit tighter, and also I think on this course they give you more mines in the center. I mean, they don't explode when you hit them, but you'll... Okay, there you go. So at least I got to show what happens when you hit them. You get stunned, or she goes, ow! She might fall off if you hit her hard enough, or she'll just get stunned like that with her head down, but we're doing alright. Alright. Also, I'll try this. I'm changing something with the camera. You press the C... Okay, that's jittering, by the way. Hit the C left, the C right button. The camera will turn with you as you do a turn. If you don't, it just is static. I just wanted to see what that looked like. Whoa. Ew. Yes, you really have to cut the waves very specifically, and that's where... The key to this is when you're turning, you have to press down diagonally on the control stick in the direction you want to turn. Or feasibly use the R button, which, according to the operation card of this game, it says that you slide across the water, so I guess you could feasibly do, like, power sliding, although in a lot of ways, I never really got a whole lot of use out of it compared to just hitting the down diagonal, but we got it, and bonsai! There we go. I do love that. And I have this game pretty much memorized as far as its voice and everything, if you could not tell. Yes, because I love it that much. And it was, as I mentioned, kind of a interesting point for me seeing this kind of a game and this technology going. And I guess also feasibly, if I want to be really honest with it, with the Nintendo 64, there were not many games at the launch of this thing. There were only two, which were Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wing 64. And I'm going to play Pilot Wing 64 again in September for its 25th anniversary, but I do, and that's because I played it last year, but I don't have the recording of it. So we're going to do that, but the Nintendo 64 did not have many games to start, and this was actually the first game that came out after the launch. It was back at the end of October, November of 1996 that it came around, and people were eating it up. Maybe because, like, oh, I have a new game to play on this, but just because, wow, it's so good. And feasibly, I guess, with some of the other games that were at the system's, well, sort of launch, in its first couple months, of which were, the three I mentioned, or the two I mentioned, this one, alright, there's mines there, so you can't cut across on Expert. And then there's also, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, there was, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, there was Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, Cruising USA, and, there was also Killer Instinct Gold. When I played this game for the first time, I was there in 1996 for this one. I played this, I think it was November in 1996, because... Let's go back to the days of video rental stores. Physical, like Blockbuster Video and Hollywood Video. Blockbuster Video is all in on the Nintendo 64's launch. But the thing is that because the Nintendo 64 is selling like hotcakes that year, remember, that was the year when the Nintendo 64 and Tickle Me Elmo were the big toys or products that people wanted to buy for their children or feasibly for themselves for Christmas for 1996. Everybody wanted Nintendo 64 and games for it. So, Blockbuster was often out of every game for it. So at that point, I was widening my horizons with stuff on Super Nintendo. But I played it when I found a copy of it in 1996. I was like, oh my god, they have this, I gotta play this. And I played it then, and yeah, it was great. I guess it was also feasibly the benefit of there not being a lot of games on the system right away, because that also meant that I ended up getting to play pretty much everything on it. At that juncture, at least. I mean, years later, they kind of pumped up the production on stuff, and at that point, there's stuff I haven't played on the system, but at the beginning, yeah, all set. Or if you really want to class the show up a little bit, think about it like the new wave film directors from France in the 1950s and 60s. There weren't a whole lot of movies around at the time. They basically ended up seeing everything and were writing a lot of essays as far as what they thought as far as filmmaking, what it should be, and what they wanted to make it be with the stuff that they ended up making, particularly filmmakers like Jean-Luc Godard and other names who are and Jacques Tati and others. So yeah, that's the other thing. As I mentioned, with this show, anything you bring up can go into something else to make a parallel feasibly. But yeah, I'm not doing good on the Drake Lake because I'm getting crushed here. But hopefully I can get through this. Yeah, unfortunately, the buoy's right here. Yeah, you have to go right through the logs. Was this an arcade game? Not this specific game, but Namco and Sega had their own jet ski racing games that were. Although, it's interesting because Nintendo did have connections as far as arcade stuff, sort of, at the time, because I mentioned Cruising USA, which was in the launch window of the Nintendo 64. That was a game from Midway for the arcade that Nintendo published. And it was in arcades first, and they ported it over to Nintendo 64, where it kind of suffered in the translation. Oh shit! Yeah, that's where you get into as well, the idea that, oh no, you're in a bad case. Yeah, I'm not doing well on the Drake Lake. I'm gonna pretty much resign myself to getting 4th place. It's fine now, but that might... Oh yeah, I'm in bad shape. I'm 10 seconds behind. So yeah, I'm not winning this, but that's sometimes what can happen. Whoa! And with Dave Marin in particular, because of his handling and acceleration, that means you have to be very careful. Oh. Yeah, I don't want to miss any more, because if I miss 2 more, I'm disqualified and I don't get any points. If you get disqualified, you get no points.
One chance left.
Alright, yeah, I'm just taking my time, because at that point, it's like, yeah, I lost.
Nice try.
You get the somber music when you get last place, as I was 13 seconds behind the number 1, but...
You finished 4th and got 1 point. Keep trying.
It's not necessarily going to be the end of the world, and I'll say this. With the expert mode, I usually don't get first on every single one. Actually, there is something you can see in one of the levels if you get first on everything. I've never done it, but... Alright, it's still a pretty close game here. I'm tied for second, and Miles Jr.'s in first with this 1 point above me.
Welcome to Marine.
But also, here's the other thing. When you don't have a whole lot of points or don't do particularly well, those points to advance, that makes it a little tight for the next race. In this case, I'm just on the line, so I could get 4th again if I want to and still be okay. I want to avoid that. As we're back to the Marine Fortress, and same deal as on hard. The boxes are there, the waves are going massive, more so even than that, and I want to win. Or miss the buoy. Sometimes that's the case. You have to make those turns very tightly, or you might not even see them. But the good thing is that the AI is good in this game, but also that doesn't mean they won't crash into stuff. So, you saw on their heads down like that, they sometimes just crash into boxes. Actually, when we did hard on this last time, yeah, that they fumbled at the end and I won. I usually want to win, so then I can, get my positioning higher. Although, feasibly, I'll say this. I don't necessarily... you need to cut in deep on that one. So that's the other thing, to answer your question, Monty UK, as far as the waves. Right there, I'm cutting in deep because of the way the waves are, and also because the buoy is so tight as far as that turn. Alright. but I want to win so I'll have more of a cushion for the next race. But as I mentioned, or I was going to mention, I don't necessarily feel like I need to win the championship mode for everything. As long as I get through it and finish it, I'm not going to complain. And sometimes it can happen. It's the idea, I mentioned the recording curse, like the idea of what that is. If you're not familiar, which is when you're recording yourself playing a game, sometimes you get the sense, or maybe doing worse than you would if people weren't watching you. It sometimes is a half and half thing with me. Sometimes I feel like I do better. And there's times I have done better. Uh-oh, I'm gonna get second, but I'll take it. For now. Alright, let's see how this is. I think I was tied with him, so I might be in second still.
Finished second and got 4 points.
Can you fall off if you lean in too far? You could stumble, sort of. Alright, I'm a little behind. But yeah, you can stumble. If you pull backwards too much, that's when you fall.
Welcome to Port Blue.
Alright. I'm nervous about this one because... Remember that tunnel we were going through on hard? You have to go through it on expert. You don't have a choice. You can't go the other path.
3, 2, 1.
And I need to get a good finish because I need to beat Mr. Ryota Hayami. Because he is in the lead by 3 points. But yeah, you can't. It will take that into account of leaning in. Actually, I'll show that because the last thing we're gonna do on this game is we're gonna play with the stunt mode. Oh no! Yeah, and also when you're in the tunnel, the markers go crazy, as I mentioned. But yeah, we'll go in the stunt mode. I'll show off how the lean is as far as all that. Or in this case, yeah, you kind of just want to curve, or you want to roll it a little bit on the right that way. But yeah, you can. Yeah, mostly, I'll say this, you fall more by pulling backwards than forwards, but there's times you can. But actually, if you lean forwards on a jump, you actually go underneath the water, so it's not... Yeah, and there's some tricks for that for some of the courses, like what I did on Southern Island when we're going underneath the dock. Ooh. But that goes with, again, what you're saying as far as the physics, and again, especially when you're on expert, you really get the sense of, oh yeah, I gotta be careful. It's like, oh god, if I don't take this turn right, I'm gonna crash, or oh, I need to make this. When you come out of a turn like that, and get through it perfectly, like, oh wow, that just feels great. It's like that, what a rush concept, like, ooh, like that. Or sometimes the idea that, hey, you're turning and you're slowing down, but that's also good because you can get through it pretty nicely. Alright. Alright, yeah, the announcer sometimes will be able to give you compliments that way. Oh, come on, come on, come on. I got it. Yeah, I didn't need that, so at least I can get everything set up a little closer. And we have more races here anyway, so I have more time to get going.
You finished first and got 7 points. Great race. Move on.
Alright, tied for first. Alright, so I guess I'm making this a close run, if nothing else.
Welcome to Twilight
Alright, back to Twilight City, which is... I'll tell you, when I'm growing up playing on Expert, this always is like a respite for me, because like I love Twilight City so much, so I'm used to it. But there is one little curveball they throw you, which we'll see in just a second.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, Montague, you're mentioning when it came to leaning in too much. In this case, you have to pull back and push down to go underneath the wall. You can't just jump over it on Experts. So in that case, pressing forward has its benefits. And in that case, it's just kind of cool that way. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going under the water. I mean, admittedly, it doesn't completely immerse you with that in the way that maybe it's like, oh yeah, change the sound effects of like reflecting the fact that, oh, you're underwater. But it's like, well, it's still, it's a small thing. I don't care too much. And it just is so cool anyway that it's fun. I think Mr. Jeter slammed into the mine, so we're good. Well, maybe not. And actually, it's also better I have Dave Mariner here because of his heavier weight. You usually have to pull back and push forward to do that submarine dive thing effectively if you're not playing as him, but I just do it by instinct with him. Okay, thank you. Well, you're welcome, and thank you for joining us on this experience with Wave Race 64. I'm definitely happy to be doing, and it fits because, my god, it's been hot pretty much everywhere you go nowadays. I remember actually, I was hearing something about, oh no! Oh, alright, that's bad. Yeah, I missed that jump. You can go around, and on reverse, we're gonna get used to that, but, yeah, I was gonna say, it's been insanely hot recently, particularly, I know I heard in Death Valley, it was like 130 degrees, like, oh no. And that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. Actually, you know, if it's Celsius, it's probably worse. No, it'd be way worse. You'd be pretty much dead if you went out. Oh, feasibly, I guess, you would with 130 Fahrenheit, but point is, it's been hot. and because of that, because I'm realizing 25th anniversary of this game in October, November, we're playing it. And I'm not making that same mistake with the ramp. They also changed the size of the ramp. It's much smaller on Expert. Oh! Alright, just missed, but I'm fine so far with this. And to be fair, I did do better than Ryota Hayami, and since he was ahead of me, I'm okay with that.
You finished second and got 4 points. Nice going. Move on.
Alright, I'm still winning, and now we're getting to the last new course we're going to see. And you need to be on Expert to see this. This is Glacier Coast.
Glacier Coast.
This is the hardest level in the game, I would say, particularly the fact that also oh yeah, I also have an advancement thing. So I better get second at least, or I'm not advancing. This is also where it gets harder, because you have to... The point total there is much higher. But here's the other thing. Though I love the music here, which sounds like music from The Price is Right, weirdly enough. There's glaciers here, so if you crash into those, you're going to be in trouble. But also, if you go off the ice that way, crash in the wall, you're going to be in trouble. Or to quote the announcer, looks like trouble. And also, if this ice here, you have to kind of roll it to get onto the water, right? Because if you don't, you're going to fall off when you come back. But the good news is that on Expert, well, particularly in the championship mode, I should say, whoa! Okay, I didn't mean to do the barrel roll. That was bad for me. Especially with the glaciers here, where you're going back and forth. The good news on Expert, though, on the championship mode, is the fact that the other racers will crash into the glaciers, so it'll just help you. I like this level. Me too, when you get used to it. Oh, no! But I need to get second, at least. Okay, good. Oh, they both crash. Yeah, they will crash, too. Coming off of that. That's a very specific thing to do to get that roll off. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't want the buoys to, or I don't want to miss the buoys too much, otherwise my speed goes down. But alright, I'm doing good. Alright. Yeah, thank God you don't have to cross the line. You can go on the side of it, thank God. There are some games that institute the idea that, oh, you have to go across the line, you can't, like, take a shortcut at the water. No, 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 no! Yeah, I gotta watch out. Come on, come on, come on. I at least need to get second. And that's the other thing, the franticism of this game of, oh, no, 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 no!
You've been overtaken.
I know! No, stop reminding me. Alright, out of my way. I gotta win. Or at least get second. I'll take second. I don't need to win necessarily. You know what, screw this. I'm going past the buoys. Sometimes you can take that and be okay and just pass by it. Thank God I got it. Second. Okay, that got tense. But that also goes to the idea of what this game is as well. Sometimes it's that tension. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna lose. You gotta hold on to yourself, so... Yeah. Sometimes just take a deep breath and get through it. Or just hope the computer screws up. And the AI is decent enough that they won't... It's not that they're not gonna run perfect races. Thank God. It's not like, oh, they're gonna run perfect, and if you don't do it right, you're gonna be done. But there we go. Yeah, and I think I need to win the next race. It's fitting because it's the last one.
Welcome to
Southern Island. Alright, if I don't win, we have to go back. Although, actually, if this is the last round, I'm not gonna go back. You're doing great! I love the drop of the Wavery 64 quote, and also the idea that that's, I guess, what's going on. Alright, let's do this. Southern Island, one more time. Alright, out of the way, everyone. Yeah, we gotta win. Especially with the way the waves are and the buoys. And that boat is gonna be the death of me. And yeah, the waves are way more intense here than even on hard. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. But it feels so good when you get past that, go downwards, and right on the dock. Have I? Yeah, and they'll be right on me for a lot of this. Yeah, I'm trying. Also, I'll tell you one other thing I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna jump over the ship. You can jump over the ship with the ramp there. Not doing it. Not taking that risk. But we get to see Willy again. Or Willy the Whale, as I should say. Alright. It's weird, I feel very tense playing this, but I also feel weirdly relaxed because of how this music is with the ding 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 on the music. But that is, I guess, the gift of Kazumi Tataka, who did the music. One of the finest soundtracks, I would say, of the N64. One of the most seminal. As I mentioned, a great mixture of it being upbeat and exciting and rocking, but also weirdly emotional, too. And inspiring. So, yeah. I think we might be good, but I don't want to jinx myself completely. Also, when the water's receded, go to the right, because you barely have enough clearance going over the line, and we did it. Whew, thank God. So we won. This, at least. Now, they say to advance, but it's like, no, to... See, it's funny, even if you... Since this is the last stage, if you don't win, you still get done, and that's it. Alright, fine, pass me, Miles Jeter, that's fine. But with that, yeah, we won. And there is something a little different that happens when you're on Experts. Yeah, indeed, thank you. Well, we see Dave Mariner on the stand for the first time. See the frame rate being a little slow, I'm not gonna lie. For here, actually it's better than, I mean, it's better when you're racing, weirdly enough. But with that, because you're on Expert, and also Reverse does this as well, you actually get to pick up your trophy. They extend the cutscene for the ceremony. Hurrah, well thank you, and a hurrah as well. Yeah, they're giving me clapping as well, but instead of the camera going up to the sky, excuse me, we have me picking up the prize. Eventually. Ah, the trophy. Hello, Green Screen 1994. Good to see you. Welcome to Super World Game Saturday and to the Wavery 64 celebration. Hope you're doing well and are having a good night and are enjoying what you're seeing and hearing. Alright, so that is Expert. Yeah, that got a little hairy in places, but that's how it happens. Yeah, the 4th place at Drake Lake got me a little nervous. As did the stuff in Glacier Coast and feasibly here. Yeah, Glacier Coast as well. Yeah, but when you get through the Expert mode and you hear that, you know, triumphant music there, you feel like you're on top of the world, and it's awesome. And of course, you are a great wave racer. There you go. And you challenge the next class, which is Reverse, and this is, this and the Stunt Mode are gonna be pretty much the end of this. Yeah, because I guess this might be sort of short. Well, we'll see how sort of short when it comes to this. And maybe we could show off the, Dolphin. The Glacier Coast is cool. Indeed it was. They call it Cool Wave, by the way, in the Japanese. And we're going to see it again going through the Reverse. You know, I was going to pull Dave Mariner out again, but I think the handling thing, we're pulling out Ryota Hayami one more time. And by the way, just to go into this, if I didn't mention this before, you have an option of normal and custom, so you can go with normal elements, or you can kind of adjust it certain ways. Oh my god, Reverse. Yeah, get ready for that Reverse. Actually, you know... No, it's good. Alright, here we go. Yeah, this is where the challenge is going to start. Reverse. It's 8 rounds, just like with Expert. All the point values that you need to advance are the same. All the courses you go through are the same, but you're going backwards. And they mean that entirely. You're going the opposite direction. That changes the dynamics of a lot of these races and makes them very difficult. Okay, not Sunny Beach so much, but it does change a little bit. I mean, this is probably the one that changes the least. Except for the fact that, okay, we're seeing the mines right there. Boom. Woo! Of course, you get to celebrate when you get maximum power! And it is a celebration when you hear that. And even though it's bing, which actually for years I didn't know what that was, and I realized, oh wait a minute, you're going past the buoys that way. And also, I think the rider AI is the same as on Expert in terms of how difficult it is, although the fact that it's Reverse will also throw them for a loop too. But feasibly, with the character selected, and the fact that he's fast enough, not as fast as Dave Mariner, but still fast enough and he handles better, maybe we can get through this. We'll see. Yeah, I guess we'll keep it up and keep up on the show. Uh-oh. Ow, it's fine. You know, that's the one, and you know, I may as well get into that as long as we're, you know, going through Sunny Beach for the 4th time. Part of the potential strategy of this game is that, alright, you have to go around the buoys, if you miss 5 of them, you're disqualified. But sometimes it might be easier just to go through the buoys, like I did on the Glacier Coast. But there we go, that's first place, and I'm glad to get the first places that I get here, just to make it a little easier. We'll see how this takes as we go along.
On to the next round.
But it does show you the way that the difficulty increases, or how they adjust it. Because we're mentioning, or chat, you're mentioning the difficulty on this game and what happens with it, where does it go, and what is it? Sometimes you don't necessarily notice there was like one aspect. This game, no, it's way more. Especially now we're going reverse on Sunset Bay because we start with the minefield right here, and you have to this very tight turn to the left. Yeah, that's where it gets really hard. It's like, okay, the buoy placements are the same as on Expert and all that, but since you're going backwards, that changes it. Especially because remember we were jumping off those ramps? We're not jumping off them anymore. We have to go around it. So that changes it a lot. Especially here we have another tight turn. Whoa! Yeah, so this, yeah. Dolly Finn was mentioning the oh my god reverse. Yeah, that is the right reaction to this. For sure. But you get to still enjoy the nice orange and tangerine-like waters of the sunset. Especially as the sun is finally setting. Alright. Still enjoy the great music and the great atmosphere it creates. It's weird. It feels weird enough like I am racing in the sunset, while still being very melodic and all that as well. The one thing it doesn't have that's interesting, I'll bring this up as well, I mentioned this is by Kazumi Totaka who did the music. He has like a little signature piece of music that he tends to put in a lot of the games he does the music for, or other games of Nintendo's, which is this theme that goes doot 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 doot. It's usually a very hidden thing, and there's some games that they're so deeply hidden you would never think to find them. In fact, one of them is Mario Kart 64, which he didn't do the music for. There was Kenta Nagata who did the music for that game, but that theme is in that game. You actually have to go through a race in the Grand Prix mode on the results screen. You have to leave it on the screen for half an hour without touching anything, and then the music plays. And it took people, I think, over a decade to find that. That's how much of an Easter egg that little jingle can be in a lot of the games that he makes or does music for that Nintendo releases. Alright, we're back at Drake Lake, which means that because we're going in reverse, we have to hit those logs starting. I mean, I guess we're getting the hard part out of the way first, so we'll take that, but I'm still not looking forward to this. Or not looking forward to how difficult it is. I'm looking forward to playing this through, because I love this game. But, oh, no! Oh, yeah, right. Also, the announcer, I'm glad I got to show that part off, is that he'll comment certain ways if you are in a bad position within the first 15 seconds of a race, and he will be very condescending, saying there, oh, you're losing! And it's like, oh, no. Okay, good. I just want to make sure also that, too, because I don't remember how the, element of going to the buoys are. Oh, right, another tight turn. But yeah, he can sometimes be that way. And to be fair, that was kind of a lot of racing game announced at the time, Ridge Racer being another one of that. At some point we could show Ridge Racer off. I just figure out stuff with how I'm streaming PlayStation. Well, actually, no, in that case I'll just use the PlayStation 3 for that. I was thinking that more for Saturn because of the display and the output switches that it does when you're playing. Which actually I realized with this game it does one too. When you go on the controller pack screen. No! Because this game does use the controller pack for saving along with the cartridge itself. For the last nope. Ooh, no, that was close. I thought that was the last lap. Ooh, okay, this is. I mean, honestly, as long as I average like first or second feasibly, I'll be okay with that. Ooh. But at least with the character I have, I can turn a little better. Ooh. Oh. Also, one other thing I guess about the AI is that they're not instituted by the, you know, the buoy missing rule. So feasibly they can miss it and not get penalized. So that's something you gotta take into account. That would be interesting if that was the case, but unfortunately no. That would be... Well, one of the only racing games I know that does something similar to that is San Francisco Rush, which is by Midway, which is also on Nintendo 64, and there's a PlayStation version of that. There's an option called Deaths, where you can crash in that game and your car explodes. If you turn Death on, you're out of the race. Feasibly, the other computer opponents can crash, and you'll be in the race on your own, and you can try and feasibly survive to the end. That's the closest of, you know, instituting the AI on the rules that the game, or this game, does to you. Alright, here we are, backwards on Marine Fortress. That changes. Yeah, you don't want to take that left path through the, gate right away, because it's not open on lap 1. So you have to go around for lap 1, but on lap 2 you can do it. I mean, this is very wide open. Oh, right, I forgot about that. Yeah, I guess for now it's no problem, but yeah, the tight turn here. Yeah, right there. Whoa! Oh, no. Also, this is hard if you do what I did, which is missing the buoy, because on lap 2, when you take the shortcut, and remember, the computer will always take it, so they're taking it to the left, down here, and the gate will open. You don't have any buoys to hit, so if you're at a low power like I am, you're not getting it upgraded until you come out. So again, reverse is changing a lot on you that way. I mean, thankfully, I don't have to get a specific position to get through this one, but I want to get as best as I can, so I feasibly don't have to do this again. But honestly, the only thing I had to do again was Sunny Beach on hard the first time, which is weird. Like, you'd think that this would be the worst case of it, or expert, but alright. Okay, yeah, remember that's out there, and they put that right near the out-of-bounds buoys. By the way, if you go out of there... Oh, whoa! Yeah, the way is that way, too! Yeah, if you go, by the way, out of bounds there, and you're out there for more than 5 seconds, you're disqualified. But, that should be fine for now. And we win. And on expert and reverse, it always feels like, yeah, you're, just barely making that. And yeah, he's turning around. It's like, yeah, no, the AI's taking control now, and we're going through this. And, there's, Dave Mariner. Oh, yeah, but I'm stopped at the box. Always the boxes.
And got 7 points. Move on to the next round.
Alright, so next is Marine Fortress. Yeah, we thought this was fun going through that tunnel forwards. Let's try going it backwards. What do you say? Right after I've drinking my water, though. As I mentioned when I do this kind of thing, with game streaming, I want to have water on hand. You're gonna talk, especially if you're gonna talk on the stream the way I do. Some people might not, so they don't need it as much. Oh, right, that's the other thing. You have to go in between the ramps. There we go, going backwards through the tunnel. Ooh, ooh. Wow, indeed. Ooh. But as I mentioned, the AI will make a lot of mistakes crashing this tunnel. Every other character crashes. Oh, right, that tight buoy placement. I forgot about that. You have to basically hug the wall for that. So that's the other reason why reverse gets really difficult. I also love that where the voice clips kind of cut into each other. As you're saying maximum power, oh no! He said, you're doing great. Well, so far, maybe. No, not even third. But as I mentioned, the way that the game handles that tunnel, it gets confused on the positioning of the other characters. Alright, I'm going to pretty much resign myself that I need to take a miss there. Okay, you don't have to take a miss. I'm just thinking, well, no. I got to keep the pressure up so that I get enough points. Whoa. Actually, I think I'm at a better point going through it now on reverse than I was on expert as far as points are concerned. Well, how did I move up? It seemed like he was going in the tunnel ahead of me. Yeah, I'm going. You know what? I'm not going to miss that. I'm going to just slow down and there, go deep to the left. There we go. Now let's do a nice stunt going over the over the wall, over the line. There you go. Nice flip.
You did it!
There's not really much reason to do stunts while you're racing, except to show off. But in stunt mode, that will come to play, and we will show stunt mode off as I think the last thing we'll show on this game. Which I think this exploration of this game's going well. And again, I'm glad that people are enjoying feasibly, and thank you for stopping by and taking a look. As we go back to Twilight City one last time. Oh, by the way, that also reminded me of something now I'm looking at this. They give you a best time and a best lap time, but there's no lap record that they store for reverse. I don't know why that is. But as I mentioned, yeah, it's changed the dynamic a lot when you're going in reverse, especially here, because that jump I missed when we played on expert, well, we have to go around it and make another tight turn around a buoy.
Not bad!
Alright, so that, yeah, in second, so they'll say not bad. Also, the other thing as well, we dove under the water. You can't do that going backwards. So what you have to do is you have to go around. So we're actually going to see, ooh, mine. We'll see the mine, but we'll also see the fact that, yeah, I can't go in that, otherwise it's a dead end to come around. We're going this way. So it takes a lot longer, but she crashed over something. But there we go. So it does change the dynamics of the courses and makes it so that, alright, even if you played all the difficulties and know the courses, well, no you don't until you play it on reverse. When you play it in reverse, that's when you're all set. I also love that other touch, which is when the player indicators, when they're getting closer to you, they'll kind of try and bump your head off. Like that. Oh no! Yeah, I always love that one. It looks like trouble. And I always used to yell, I was like, yeah, I know it looks like trouble. I shouldn't be alive after that, but, oh yes, oh, thankfully I am. Yeah, I mean, imagine they put, like, a death element like San Francisco Rush into the wave race game. Actually, I don't think there is any jet ski game that does that feasibly. I mean, I think the only thing where I could think sorta like that would be the Grand Theft Auto games that have jet skis in them, but they're not exactly racing games. Those would be Vice City Stories on the PSP and the PS2. I think GTA 4 does it, and GTA 5 does it as well. But in that case, yeah, if you crash into it, you're going to get yourself hurt, and if you're not careful, you're going to die. Or if you go into the earlier entries in that franchise, you die when you fall in the water, which I always hated, but, yeah. I mean, that's a series I guess I could show off to a certain degree, but I had to be very careful with the licensed music in a lot of those, and then also, the length. Those would have to be, like, multiple parts, because this game, we were gonna go through everything with it in one night, but, yeah, something like that, that's gonna take a while. Or it's gonna be like Super Mario RPG, which is the one game I'm doing long form currently on this. Well, sort of. There's also Mega Man Legends, which I have to get figuring out how we're gonna get the second part to that. That'll come at some point. I gotta figure that out at some point. Later, though. But yeah, I'm doing... Okay, I'm kind of stunned. I'm doing as well on this as I am. First place is on everything except Drake Lake.
Welcome to Glacier Coast.
Okay, so I don't have to worry on Glacier Coast feasibly. But, let's see.
Who's going to win?
Let's see.
3, 2, 1.
Go! There we go. You can hear more of the music and also see more of Glacier Coast. Montic UK mentioned he guessed? No? Correct me if that's not right. But, yeah, mentioned that you liked this, so absolutely, we're all set. And you get more of it, and you're seeing how it works on reverse, because then you're coming over the ice sheet here. Whoa. Actually, I'm doing well coming off of that, which is not an easy thing to do. And be fair, it's also easier... Oh, no! Not there, it's not. I was gonna say it's easier going off of that thing when you don't have a wall in front of you, but, not in my case, it's not. Alright. Whoa! Oh, no! Well, not yet. I mean, thankfully I don't have to worry about losing or getting a bad rank. We also hear the great elements of the... Well, I mentioned the music and all that, but also the sound effects, because, yeah, Chad was mentioning the idea that, you know, Kawasaki made motorcycles and things, but yeah, you do get the sense of the power of these things with engines. Is it hard to catch up to them? I'd say it depends on the difficulty and the course. Since Reverse is running on the same AI as Expert, it's kind of difficult. I mean, as we saw on Hard, I failed because I was playing as a slower character. I mean, it's harder when you're a slower character, but again, you can also kind of mitigate that by handling correctly or avoiding things. Should you get as close as you can to the buoys? Only when you have to. Because you might have seen, in some cases with the buoys, I crashed into them and I fell off. Oh, I'm getting 4th place. Okay, I didn't even notice I was behind that far. But it's alright. But if you're hitting the buoys wrong, you'll go flying. As long as you pass it on the side that they're telling you to pass on, you're fine. Or aim for the middle. Yeah, it depends on the course. And as we saw with Marine... Or not Marine just with Port Blue. That left buoy was almost right next to the wall, so I had to be close just by, you know, nature of that.
Move on to the next round.
Okay, I'm not losing this unless there's a, massive point thing on Southern Island, which was...
Welcome to
Southern
Island.
Okay, so you know what? I could retire this race if I wanted to and still win. And there's no way the other players are going to catch up. I will not show that part of it off, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause just to show this. if you select retire, you instantly fail and disqualify on the race you're on. I can do that now. You also get 0 points if you do that. I could do that and we'll be fine for the ending. But we're not doing it. We're racing through the reverse on Southern Islands. As I said, I'm showing this whole game off. We're showing this whole game off. Alright, so we get... Alright, we got Willie right away. Ooh, but you have to go around here. I can't dive under the dock. We also have to go to the right over here and avoid these things. Woo. Alright, now no problem. Alright, fine, feasibly. I guess you can kind of clip through them as is. There. Ooh. Yeah, I guess I could... Yeah, you know what? I guess it doesn't matter if I get fourth or whatever, but I'll try to get first. I mean, if I'm this far back, I might be in trouble, but it also depends on if they crash or not. Yeah, I know. But the water still recedes, so I can still go down this way. And thankfully the buoys are all on the right up to this point, so I can go under the bridge, no problem. In this case, avoid the ship. I guess the other thing, going back to, Dolphin, your question on catching up, the other key of this is that you need to keep the buoys going, because if you miss one, your power meter goes down to nothing, and you have to keep getting that, and you go slower when your power meter is lower. So as long as you can keep your power up to maximum, and keep hitting the buoys, and not crash, and, yeah, avoid the obstacles where they are, you're good. And not hit the buoys, because they could be an obstacle too. You know, if I can get third, that's fine, because I haven't shown getting third off, so I can only show the different musics when you get third. Yeah, you know what, I'll let myself get third. There we go. Alright, that's a decent job.
You finished third and got 2 points. Pretty good.
Alright, it is pretty good, but as I mentioned, on points alone, because of all those first places I got, I could afford to not do badly. Can the others knock you off? So yeah, they can. That can sometimes be the worst feeling in the world, although, especially on reverse. But as is, we got through it. And I think that could also happen in the co-op, and I know that can happen in Wave Race Blue Storm, which is the follow-up to this. The Game Boy version didn't do that way because it was a top-down racing game from '92. But yeah, you could they could knock you off as well, and actually, in the Blue Storm game, they also have it so like each of the characters have like pit crew people that they'll comment on, and they'll say like, hey, be careful falling off. You don't have just the announcer. But then also in that case, there's a pretty hilarious unlockable in that. You get this, you know, really sarcastic voice going like, ooh, you went past a buoy. You kind of can unlock that feasibly. You're like, oh, I don't care, you're going past the buoys. And actually in that game also, when you go past the buoys, you build up a meter and you also get a turbo boost for each 5 you pass. But there we go. So that is the final championship mode elements. We got Stunt Mode still to go through, so we can show that. But here we go. So we did get through the reverse. Amazingly. That actually went a lot smoother than I thought it was going to. Enjoy all the stuff we had up to that point. And here again, that we're a great wave racer. Well, thank you. And it does feel good when you get to that point, especially letting the music play. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let the music play, because this music is good enough, you should listen to it, and also let it go without me, you know, pressing A to continue. Also, I don't think I got any lap records, so we wouldn't be able to go through with that. But it's very nice, and you get that sense of the victory of, yeah, you know what, I worked really hard. Okay, no, never mind. I guess it's going to go itself. Alright, so it does it anyway. Alright. So with that, time trials basically... Yeah, time trials, as I mentioned, you're going through for fast time. There's 2-player. Oh, we're going to show the stunt mode off.
Select your watercraft.
And we'll show Ayumi Stewart, because I lost the one race with her. Like, yeah, that's not nice to be able to do that. For this, I generally tend to play on normal as far as the... You know what? Yeah, for the turning and all that, yeah, it doesn't really matter. For me.
Select your course, please.
Okay, now here's how stunt mode works. You do have Dolphin Park, which you started with the warm-up on. But you also have all the other courses, and you have scores there. They're high, although there's a reason why they're high. In fact, you know what, I'm going to show 2 things. I'm gonna go through Dolphin Park just once. Because the idea is you go through, you do stunts, you go through rings, you go through rings more, you get more points as you go. And kind of ride backwards, which is rotating the analog stick clockwise. Do the flips over the ramps, get a lot of points. Do the helicopter thingy, get even more points. Now, this is the way you want to get a lot of points if you're doing this legitimately. In fact, we're going to come back to this. I'll show you how to not do it legitimately. And you saw those point values of like 50,000. You're wondering how did I get that high?
Almost had it.
No, I didn't. I definitely didn't. But for not cheating, I did do okay. And you also have to go through the checkpoint gates to get more points. Yeah. Alright, there are all my scores. And the C, by the way, is if you use the custom setting, and N is the normal setting. Yeah, I have 37,000 points. You're saying, like, wait a second, how could I possibly get that much? Well, let's see. Okay, so we're going through it the same way. I crashed. And I paused for a reason, and I'll show that a little later, but I crashed, so... Alright, so what I'm gonna do is go through the checkpoint again. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up to that ramp. I'm gonna do a flip trick off. So I'm gonna do the flip, press up and down when you're on the ramp. Now, when you land, hit start. He said, what a cool jump. Now I come out, I didn't get points for that. And I won't see points again if I do other... Okay, if I do other ramp tricks, I'll see points, and it screws it up. Or if I do the flip there on that stand. Now what you want to do is you want to go through the gates as close to 0 as possible. And do everything else. All these stunts I'm doing, they're not giving me points for me. You're wondering, why is that? Well, you'll see. I'm just feathering this a little bit, going through the ring still.
You almost had it.
Yeah, I got 27,000 points at the end of it. There's a glitch in the game. Okay, it's still not high enough as far as the other ones, but there's a glitch in the game when you hit the start button when you're on a ramp like that. You come back, and if you do other tricks that are not, like, flip things, you know what? I'll show this off one more time, and then we'll go to, we'll show Glacier Coast off, you know? That's probably a better one as far as that. I'll show this one more time, because I want to show one other thing to explain this. I guess I can thank Nintendo Power for this idea, because that's how I knew about how this trick went. I guess those are the kind of thing that if you're going for score on this game for Stunt Mode, there's differentiations on whether you're using the exploit or not. Okay, so I did the cool jump, but if I do another flip off the ramp like that, it gives me points still. So it resets, I guess, the cue that I had set. Although you can set it back again. And the other thing that can turn it off is if I do that rotating counterclockwise, you do that spin thingy. But if you press down at the back of it and do that backflip off, that counts as the stunt. So yeah, it cooks the points up that way. So you have it. No, I didn't. Yeah, I keep saying that, like, but no, I have like 40,000 points. I guess this was kind of the idea of like trick elements in a game like this before stuff like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out, and that was more, admittingly, the point of that game was more about the tricks than something like this. This is more like a fun bonus above anything, or getting the idea of the announcer saying things like, "How'd you do that?" or "What a show! I love it." Now, Glacier.
What a cool jump!
Alright, yeah, I hit it a little too early. Yeah, Glacier Coast is one of the easiest courses to do this in, and this is, I think, the course you can get the most points off of for that very reason. But the other thing to keep in mind is that when you're on the glaciers, the game does not count that, or counts that weirdly as a hitbox. When I'm doing that kind of balance thing, if I go into a glacier like that, I fly off. In fact, yeah, I'm waiting just till it gets closer to 0. I'll show this. Yeah, you can fly towards the camera. Yeah, so, yeah, don't do that. Or feasibly don't do that, unless you want to be really sadistic and show off the fact that how the heroes and hear the "ow!" which sometimes can be fun. I also do the handstand as well and have this go. And the time can show up and that's fine, and so can the ring points. By the way, you get more points by going through all the rings. Oh, I missed one, but if you do that, it resets. So in that way, it's good to show that off. And you will not get points for just doing a jump, so you don't have to worry about that. If you're going this, you know, let me exploit the game's coding for points thing. That was fun. Thank you. I have to run. What is next week? Oh! Me falling, number 1. Okay, that's not next week. That's right now. Next week is Top Gear for the Super Nintendo from Kemco. This is cool. Indeed it is. And Alright, 41,000. Yeah, right there. There you go. But, yeah, next week is Top Gear for the Super Nintendo, which is a racing game that was recommended to me by Electverse. So that'll be the game we do next week. The week after that, we're coming back to Super Mario RPG for the third part. The other two parts are on the YouTube site in a couple days. This stream you're watching, if you got in here late, or if you saw a little bit of it or can't see it all, that'll be on the YouTube site as well, with edits to make it worth watching feasibly there. More things like if I say stuff and I get stuff wrong, because that's happened. I'll sometimes go through something and I'll say something wrong. And then the week after, let me show one other thing. There you go. Yeah, going off the glacier that way. And yeah, just coming out of the glacier, yeah, literally coming out of the ice. And then the week after Super Mario RPG's third part, we're doing, for the 2 weeks after that, I have an initiative going this year. I'm playing a Sonic the Hedgehog game a month because this is the 30th anniversary of the franchise this year. For August's entry for what I called Super Sonic Game Saturday, we are playing Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast, and we're playing it over 2 weeks because of the length of it. But I believe 2 weeks should be enough for that game. Uh-oh, let's see if I can't get through across the checkpoint. Just enough. You know what, I may as well show at the end of this. Is it slipperier on the ice? Yes, it is. In fact, you know what? Let's go through this, and I will, we'll show off the time trial, because then the buoys will still be there, but I don't have to worry about other people, or other, AI drivers. Let's just go to the end.
Almost.
Or just get knocked off. And just come out of that. Alright, so I'll show off that element. But to answer your question quickly... Oh, no, we're not course selecting. We're not course selecting for this.
Wave brakes.
We're going to time trials, but to answer your question, yeah, it does get slipperier, and I'll point that section out. You know what? Bring Dave Mariner out again for the last run of this. I guess we're getting a lot of love on Glacier Coast here. And we'll play expert. By the way, when you go into the time trial, you have an option of difficulty for the buoy placements, and they do give your lap times specific on those. So I'm not going to necessarily go for lap times exactly on this, but on the ice, it is more slippery because I'm going off on this one. And you slide like that, and you're kind of out of control. But to be fair, the game kind of handles a lot of non-water elements like that. In fact, I'll show when I get on this. So I'll go on this slowly. Yeah, it is slippery, so I'm turning like that. You kind of just go backwards like that. If you're kind of doing that, yeah, you just turn in place. So it does get a little more slippery. In fact, you know what? I'll show this as well. I'll go back. Oh, okay, I'm not showing that specifically yet. If you... Okay, it's more... I'll show on the next one. It's more slippery when you come off. If you're not coming off straight or close enough too straight, you're going to fall or be thrown off. Or on these, but as I mentioned, like when I hit some of these things, I kind of got stunned, and that was the reason why. So yeah, it is a little slipperier, but it is something you handle. Yeah, it's not that hot because I have a course record of 132.749. And if you get that, you also get some ideas about him, being happy, or the announcer being happy. Yeah, like that. There you go. But also, I may as well show one other thing off since you're asking about the ice. When you're on the ice like this, I think the game gives you a warning on this. I think it does on this. It does somewhere. Or... No? Yes? Okay, it's supposed to give you like a warning or an indicator. You know what? We're gonna leave.
What happened?
Yeah, we're going course out. We're just gonna go out here and then we're gonna be done. But also, you'll see me falling out into the abyss. I do love that thing, that pop at the end of it. But yeah, there you go. So, I'll go one last place. We'll go to Southern Island and we'll finish off that way. That'll take us to a nice hour, 40 minutes. Let's go on expert. And I guess just to give an idea as far as the length of these things, it's dependent upon the game. Sometimes the game is longer, or we get through it faster, or sometimes happens. That'll be the length of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the course one more time and actually get... Okay, no, I'll go one lap so the water will recede. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on that ship. Because you can land on that. Because I do want to show that idea of what happens if you're out of the water and you get the timer on it. Or the other thing you can feasibly do, I can show this detail off. Remember during the ending cutscene that we had, yeah, the podium for the ceremony. It's right here. Are you seeing the... Oh yeah, you're on it now. I'm waiting for them to tell me.
Back in the water.
Yeah, if you don't get back in the water in time, you fail. Or you get disqualified. But yeah, there you go. Let's see if I can't land on the ship and hold onto the ship. Alright, here we go. You know what? Let's try and stay on the ship. No, I don't want to get back in the water. I want to stay on the ship. I want to show this off, because I think this is going to be funny. Or he's not going to do it, because sometimes, here's the thing, that falling thing, and you know what, I'm adamant, I want to see if I can show that. When you retire like that, he'll either do that thing on his knees, or he'll hit onto the jet ski, he or she, if you're playing as Ayumi Stewart, or he'll fall into the water. The jet ski rider can fall through solid objects. I've had that happen. And we saw that when we did Glacier Coast, when you fell through, or I fell down and then I came out of the glacier. So I want to see if I can't make that happen on the ship, because I do believe they programmed that to be on a timer as far as which animation it does. So I want to show that off, and then I think with that, yeah, the only other thing I could think of is the dolphin. I want to see if I, you know what, I'll try and see if I can't show off the dolphin. No! Or no, well, fine, we'll compromise. We're not, or, you know, yeah, we'll compromise. We'll not do it. Fine, I failed. Whatever.
Get back in the water.
All right, I'm gonna get back in the water. Unfortunately. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the winter podium. I'm gonna fall through that, or see if I can fall through that, because it will still give me that prompt. And then after that, I'll show the dolphin off in Dolphin Park, because you can ride the dolphin. You're seeing the opening. The characters on dolphins, and I can make that happen. Alright, so back up here we are, and whoa! Alright, yeah, but a bit harsh when he says, that was weak. No, we're not. Let's see, come on, fall through. Or not. Alright, we'll see underneath that. I never saw that before. That's the other thing that you like to do on the show, which is show off this weird stuff with the game. Alright, so I'll show the dolphin off. What you do is, you have to actually, we sort of did this before. Go to Stunt Mode, you go into Dolphin Park, you do one of each trick. When you do that, you go to warm up. Then you select a character, you press, what does retire mean? It means that you've retired from the race, or you're forcibly retired. You don't get points if you're going through the race, and you fail for that. But yeah, oh, okay, right, yeah. Oh, I forgot. You can show off different color character skins by pressing up. I think... Okay, you do the stunt, each stunt in Stunt Mode on Dolphin Park. You get the dolphins in the cutscene, in the opening cutscene. You press up on the D-pad, here, not the analog stick, on a character, press start, and keep holding it, I think.
Welcome to Dolphin Park.
Alright, we'll see this when this happens.
Warm-up time. Follow that dolphin.
Alright, no, that didn't work. Alright, there's something else I'm missing. You know, let me just remind myself of this, because I haven't done this in a while. Oh, hold down. Okay. I did take a little bit of... Alright, there we go. So there they are on the dolphins. Let's make that happen. Alright, yes, you have to go to normal so you get to the warm-up time. I had it down, I was thinking ahead. Alright, so down on D-pad, and press start.
Welcome to Dolphin Park.
There we go. Alright, so now we're riding on the dolphin, which plays a lot like the jet ski. Unfortunately, you cannot go through the entire championship mode with this. Although maybe there's ROM hacks in this game that do that, I don't know. But, there we go. Yeah, you can do the backflip on the dolphin. And the dolphin will get a little chatty, feasibly, when you go and do that. You can also do the barrel roll on the dolphin. Actually, you know, let's do that. Let's show off the tricks on the dolphin. Yeah, let's barrel roll on the dolphin, because it's just a funny sight. And that's the other thing I tend to like doing this. Just, oh, wait a minute. Okay, you can't do... Alright, yeah, I can do the flip tricks on the dolphin. I can do the fact that you're submarine under the water with the dolphin, sort of. And did I barrel roll the dolphin? Okay, I barrel rolled now. Okay, so... Alright, so you can't do the, I guess the riding tricks, which basically is the riding backwards, the standing up, and the handstand. Alright, so, yeah, so we can't do that. But yeah, you do have the Dolphin going here. So, there you go. For all of you people who want to see something interesting like that, yeah, we have the Dolphin. We're chasing them on the Dolphin. And fitting, because we started the game showing it in the cutscene. But, yeah, I mean, I think with that, we're kind of pretty much toward the end of the show for the night, unless there's anything else the chat wants to see, or anything they have questions about, which, again, I'll take that. And we'll see what happens as we go along, but also enjoy the idea of Dolphin Park, which, by the way, is not available in anything except the warm-up and the Stunt Mode. The GameCube version changes that, because the GameCube version, which is Blue Storm, lets you come to this course and they actually give you a racing element to it. And it's the same course as this, they just update the graphics. And they also do the same, I believe, for Southern Island. And that game is kind of interesting because they give you thunderstorms as far as like weather conditions and things, which is nice, although the wave physics, to me, aren't as great as this game, although they're still fun enough. You get some big waves, so that's kind of cool still. But, yeah, alright. So, yeah, with that, as you're hearing the music there, the do-do-do-do-do-do-do, which kind of reminds me of the theme to the Mary Tyler Moore Show, if you can ask me personally, and I don't know, maybe they have that on their minds, but we'll see. It was terrific. What system do you need to play this game? This is a Nintendo 64 game. The game runs pretty cheap on the system, interesting enough. It's only about, I'm seeing used copies for like 20 bucks, which is nice to see, because I thought this game would be expensive because people love it and would want it. But it's not. And thankfully, it's also not as expensive as some of the other games on that system, like Stunt Racer 64, which is a racing game that's over $1,000, because it was a rental-only game. But yeah, it's only 20. It's also on the Wii U's Virtual Console for 10. And I think, from what I've understood, that's pretty comparable to this. They do have the licensing of Kawasaki in it. They did pay the money for it. And it technically, I guess, maybe controls better feasibly because of the fact that you have the Wii U's analog sticks on either the gamepad or the classic controller for that. So, feasibly, that might be a better way to play it, maybe, if you have a Wii U. It's funny, because I run into people, one of my coworkers, saying, like, hey, I never had a Wii U, and then they release all these, you know, ports of things from the Wii U to the Switch, but not much, or not completely with the classic stuff, at least not on Nintendo 64. The thought of, like, hey, they'll do a thing for the virtual, or not the virtual console, the Switch Online with Nintendo 64, but so far they haven't. Maybe they will, but, I don't know, or even the idea of the classic games available and download on that system. Or, actually, I'll regale this. With Metroid Dread, the new Metroid game that's coming out in October, people were saying, hey, this is the 5th game in the Samus Aran, you know, saga element, so let me play those older games. Thing is, they realized the Game Boy Advance games that are canon to this, which were Metroid Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion, they cost a lot in their original form. I'm seeing like over $70, $80. They are downloadable for $8 on the Wii U's Virtual Console, but they're not that way on the Switch. So people were saying like, hey, the Wii U is kind of like a great retro box to be able to play pretty much every Metroid game ever made. With the exception of Metroid 2 from the Game Boy and Metroid Samus Returns, which is a 3DS game. And I believe the Metroid Dread game is coming out. He's by the same people who made that Samus Returns release. Like the Dolphin. And an interesting case also, now I'm thinking about it, I may as well go, because I mentioned there's the sequel to this on the GameCube, which was codenamed The Dolphin. So I almost wonder if maybe Nintendo was thinking like, hey, we made Wave Race, or thinking like the idea of dolphins and things like that. Let's do that. Or maybe it was more the idea of IBM, because IBM was involved with the making of the GameCube of sorts for the purpose of its graphical chip, or with some of the technology within it. And then ATI, I believe, had some elements for it. Fun game all around, thanks. Yeah, it is a fun game all around. Yeah, alright. You know what, fine, I guess we're gonna have to leave the Dolphin be. You know what? Let's go off the Dolphin in style, and I'll show what happens when you do the retire on this. Yeah, we're just gonna course out, go out all the way, and see what's out there, which is nothing, by the way. Another great show, well, thank you very much, and, yeah, not so much for you. Like, yeah, boom. Falling off, but there is the Dolphin, and... Okay, yeah, we're not going to do another run on the championship, but I'm just going to start this. We're going to do the retire. We're going to end on that. Go back to the title screen. That should take us to a nice 2 hours. Yeah, unfortunately, you can't beat the Dolphin here. I would love to see that, but, alright, fine. Alright, so I get on, but... Yeah, get off. I like that she just kind of went forward as far as that. But there we go.
Sorry, you didn't.
And when you do retire, it says that, yeah, you can't go on, or in this case, it can't go on. Otherwise, if you have enough points to go on, but you retire, he says, you finished 4th. I'm sorry, you've been disqualified. But, yeah, there you go. That's fine, but we'll end on the nice Wave Race theme music, which, one last anecdote I will put to this. If anybody out there knows the band Owl City, who did the song Fireflies, they're kind of an electronica techno pop group. I remember they're doing a live show about 4 or 5 years ago. They're big into video games, and I think there's videos of this on YouTube. You might want to take a look at that if you haven't. I'll link to it, or I'll point to what it is when this goes on the YouTube site, saying like, yeah, you want to see this. They actually played this theme you're hearing right here as part of one of the live shows they did, and the crowd went nuts. They're like, oh my god, we love Wave Race 64 so much, we love this music. And it kind of gave them a lot of, I guess, gamer cred, if you really want to think about it that way, for the purpose of, yeah, I guess a sort of famous group of sorts sampling something out of a video game. And that's happened in some cases, but that's one of the cases where I really realized that, oh yeah, they really were loving this and said, we gotta do something for this. And, yeah, there you go. That's definitely a nice little anecdote to end the show with, and the nice jumping with the Dolphins and the other jet ski racers. Okay, so that was Wave Race 64. My final thoughts are, this is a great game. It's a lot of variety, a lot of great graphics and gameplay for the time. Thanks again, thank you very much. Again, and thank you very much to the chat, to the audience, for watching Super Old Game Saturday. Next week, as I mentioned, we're going to be playing Top Gear for the Super Nintendo, which was requested by Electverse. Mentioned to me a couple months ago saying, I want to see Top Gear, I want to see it represented. I don't get the sense people talk about it. We're going to play it. I just don't have much familiarity with it, so it's going to be feasibly his jurisdiction on that one. So, we'll see what goes on that and how that turns out. But I do have a copy. We'll play that. It'll be a fun time. And good night indeed. And the week after that, Super Mario RPG's third part. And the 2 weeks after that is Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast. So with that, yeah, we'll come back to that. There's the 2-player, so we're showing off everything in this game by, proxy, feasibly that way. But yeah, with that, thank you very much for watching. I had a great time playing this game. We'll get the Dolphins to take us out as well. But yeah, I would recommend this game highly if you haven't played it. And until next week, I'll see you then for Top Gear. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm here every Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, basically, give or take. Sometimes I might take a week off, specifically. But, yeah, Classic Game Goodness, anything in chat you want to see, we'll make happen. And have good times, good discussions. And I had a great time with all the discussions and all the experiences with this game. So, that, see you next. Appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody in the chat watching and getting involved. Because, as I mentioned, this is your show as much as it's mine. For the fact that you're talking with me, you're saying things you're observing about this game, memories you have with this game, and adding to it. And that's kind of what the point of the show really has been for me. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with it. Just to quickly go on this and then I'll be done. I kind of started this just for the purpose of, hey, I wasn't seeing many friends last year for obvious reasons, but at this, or family members even, but still I was thinking like, well, I want to showcase some of my love or interest of gaming and get their takes as well. And I just was doing it more for fun than anything. It's not a massive audience as far as this, but it's the kind of thing, it's a nice kind of little, I always see this as a nice hangout at the end of a long week. You're doing things with school or work or whatever it might be, come back into something, see a game that maybe you never played, maybe you want to play, relive the memories of a game you've loved since childhood or however long it's been since you played it, or make new memories with it. And so, that's kind of what I see at the show, and hope you're enjoying it, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. So with that, again, I think we'll take it out with the Sunset Bay, taking out on the sunset of the Wave Race 64 game. And when we come back to this franchise, I think we'll do Wave Race Blue Storm for GameCube. I still need to pick up a copy of the Game Boy game, which we can show with the GameCube, with the Game Boy player. But that'll come in due time. But next week we have the racing game fun happening, feasibly fun, happening more with Top Gear for Super Nintendo next week. And until next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, thank you very much for watching the program for Super Old Game Saturday. And stay tuned for this to be on the YouTube site. It's in the link somewhere in Twitch there, as well as the schedule, which I'm going to be upgrading with what next week's game is going to be. So you come into this, go into the scheduling on Twitch, you see what next week's game is going to be right there. So with that, I will bid you all a good night. Have a nice rest of your weekend. A nice week coming forward. I'll see you next week for Top Gear for Super Nintendo. Keep being awesome, and take care.